Hi, this is another GMP Detox session with Markus Römer, and today we talk about something else because a lot of system suppliers from ERP, MES, and so on, but even people who should know it, um, sometimes they make the mistake in using the definitions, especially regarding the batch certification and the batch release. These are two different steps. So sometimes I hear that the batch certification is not really known, and somebody's saying in a meeting, wherever, the batch release is done by our qualified person, and that's not correct. Okay, so I was asking today Microsoft Copilot, artificial intelligence, some important questions about that, just to make that a little bit clearer. So what is the difference of batch certification by QP and a batch release? And the answer of Copilot is quite very good here. Batch certification by a qualified person and batch releases are two critical steps in the pharmaceutical manufacturing process, particularly within the European Union. Yes, it's for the European Union or for the PICS. Here's a breakdown of their differences. So the first step is the batch certification by a qualified person. At the PICS, they call it the responsible person. So definition, this is the process where QP certifies that each batch of medicinal products has been manufactured and checked in compliance with the laws in force in the member states where certification takes place in accordance with the requirements of the marketing authorization and good manufacturing practices. This implies that the qualified person must have an access to the marketing authorization files. Very simple. Sometimes I ask the qualified person, do you have access to the marketing authorization? Hopefully they say yes. Sometimes they say no. And then I must say, yeah, but you must have that. This is, if you look on data integrity or things like this, or in general understanding GMP, the qualified person is doing the certification against the marketing authorization, what we call the quality decision. I think personally, this is the ultimate quality decision which can be done in the pharmaceutical industry. Because from that point on, the batch could be released. So that could be brought on the market to you and me and to our children. So the batch release here, this is the process of making a certified batch available for sales or supply. So in simple terms, that could be in an ERP system where you change the status from quarantine to whatever available, approved, whatever, so that this batch can be taken out from stock and can be delivered to whatever the pharmacies, to GDP sales and so on. So this is simply just a status change. The QP can do that, but you can even give it to the head of production, head of QC, head of QA, to anyone basically. So, and then I was asking this, which role can execute the batch release? The batch certification must be done by the QP, but not the batch release. Again, that's very typical for Copilot. You are correct that batch certifications must be done by QP and so on. Roles involved in batch release, they name quality assurance managers or the head of QA, correctly named according EU Chapter 2. Then production manager is the head of production array specialist. I would know that, would not do that, or supply chain manager. Yes, why not? Okay, it doesn't matter. Important is that before the batch release is done, that the person must really be sure or get a record that the QP has certified the batch. Again, batch certification, the most important quality decision. Nowadays, we often talk about a quality decision. This is the typical batch certification principles. Then Copilot was suggesting other searches. How does this process differ in other countries? We will do that very quickly. Also, the United States are part of the PICS. They are a PICS member. They still have their CGMP, current good manufacturing practices, in, for example, part 211. They do not have this concept of a qualified person. So basically, anyone could certify a batch. Same for the batch release. And then they also mention here other countries like Japan, European Union. I don't know why. Canada is also part of the PICS. So they could call it a responsible person. And then I was asking, and in Switzerland, they follow the European GMP, but they do not belong to the European Union. And Copilot is saying, oh, that's fantastic for me. You are right. Switzerland follows the European GMP guidelines, even though it's not part of the European Union. Here's how the process works in Switzerland. And then they also say they do a batch certification and a batch release. And I found a little error because they say the qualified person is responsible for certifying that each batch, blah, blah, blah. It's the same as for Europe. That's not entirely true. In Switzerland, they call it the FVP, fachtechnisch verantwortliche Person. That's the German word for that. So I corrected it, Copilot. I thought that in Switzerland, the QP is defined as responsible person. This is how it's managed in the Swiss law. And then he says, Copilot, very funny. You are correct. In Switzerland, the role equivalent to the qualified person in Europe is known as the responsible person. So we could go on with that here. You see also here other what qualifications are required for RP in Switzerland, responsible person. Yeah, so quite very interesting. Copilot is giving quite good answers if you know how to ask the right question. So here again, what is the difference of batch certification by QP and batch release? And that was the session for today. I hope it was helpful for you, and please take care, even in meetings and with service providers, system providers, and anything like this. It's a two-steps approach. First, the batch certification. It must be done by the QP in Europe, for example, or by the responsible person in Switzerland or other PICS member states. And after that, you do the batch release. The batch release basically is just a status change in an electronic system. And the batch certification by the QP, yes, again, is the most important quality decision. And the QP should be served with accurate and data which follows the data integrity principles, knowing about the processes, deviations, training status, monitoring around the produced batch and so on, just to do the right quality decision. That's another topic. Go to Annex 16 of the European GMP regulations. Okay, that's for it today. Take care. Batch certification, batch release, 2 steps. That's very important. Thanks so much.